Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Sea of Death by Mark Nolan. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. From a certain point on, there is no turning back. Kafka. Cabo San Lucas, Baja California, Mexico. Jake Wolfe awakened before sunrise aboard his 60-foot motor yacht, Far Niente, docked at the Cabo Marina. He got out of bed, pulled on board shorts and a t-shirt emblazoned with the word Marines, and exited the stateroom quietly so as not to awaken his girlfriend Sarah. He walked through the galley and the salon to the aft deck at the stern where he untied the lines. His dog Cody, a former war canine, followed along like a shadow. The golden retriever and yellow Labrador mix had been trained by the Marines as an IED sniffing search dog. After Cody EASD'd at his end of active service, the dog struggled with adjusting to civilian life until Jake adopted him forever. No one else could control the uniquely intelligent animal, but Cody would follow Jake into a burning building and had done so when he found and rescued a child. At the bridge, Jake stood tall at the wheel, started the twin inboard engines, and slowly piloted his vessel out of the marina toward the harbor and bay, idling his powerful engines at only 5 miles per hour in the no-wake zone. Once he reached open water, he increased speed, brought her up on plane, and cruised into the Pacific Ocean. Jake navigated the coastal waters around the southernmost tip of the Baja Peninsula and soon passed by the iconic 200-foot-high rock arch El Arco and its whimsically named Playa del Amor, Lover's Beach, where he'd taken Sarah a few days before. The Cape of Baja California Peninsula reminded him of how Key West, Florida was sometimes called the end of the road by those who appreciated getting away to a tropical paradise surrounded by warm salt water. He cruised past the Cape and into the Sea of Cortez, also known as the Gulf of California. The sky above remained dark with a blanket of bright stars that twinkled like diamonds on black velvet. A faint red glow on the horizon promised the sun would rise soon. Jake remembered the old proverb, "Red sky at morning, sailor take warning." Although he didn't see any indication of bad weather or threats from other boats, he kept watch because trouble always had a way of finding him. He also kept watch because he'd promised to do so for Secret Service agent Shannon McKay. She ran a clandestine team of Black Ops veterans from her office in a secret area of tunnels, the catacombs, beneath the White House. McKay had said a tourist on vacation took phone video of a narco submarine periscope that temporarily broke the surface as it passed by the coastal waters. Jake knew the Colombian subs carried illegal drugs to the United States and returned with cash. By traveling submerged most of the time, the subs avoided being detected by Mexican Navy boats or U.S. Coast Guard cutters. Homeland Security's estimated that the previous year, over 50 subs had set out from Colombia to the United States, approximately one per week. Recently, a cartel arms dealer used the sub to smuggle dangerous cargo into Baja, Mexico that included military-grade weapons, belt-fed machine guns, armor-piercing rounds, hand grenades, and rocket launchers. The Mexican Defense Department asked Washington to form a joint task force that could stop the supply line of military-grade weapons to both countries. Jake's mission was to spend time on the waters around southern Baja where subs passed by, find the gun-running criminals, and put them out of business permanently. His motor yacht had been designed by the U.S. government as a privateer vessel. Jake was basically a pirate for Uncle Sam. He carried a U.S. Marshal's badge and as a deputized citizen canine handler and worked as a volunteer for their fugitive apprehension task force. Jake's attitude was that if he had to spend every day boating in paradise, so be it. And he'd do some fishing while searching. War had left scars on his soul, and he needed vitamin C to soothe the PTSD that still haunted him. La Paz in English meant the peace. Jake felt he might find peace there, an escape from his violent past. He opened 2 custom-made windows and let salty fresh air wash through the enclosed bridge. Cody hopped onto the second seat next to Jake and sat there with the sea breeze ruffling his fur. Like most dogs, Cody enjoyed going for car rides, but he absolutely loved traveling on a boat. Jake said, "This is the life, eh, buddy?" Cody thumped his tail on the black leather seat. Jake held the wheel and navigated the Pacific as he rounded the East Cape, traveled past pristine white sand beaches, and entered the Sea of Cortez. He always felt right at home cruising the beautiful 900-mile-long inlet between Baja California and Mexico's mainland. It was one of his favorite places in the world. Cody barked excitedly as a pod of dolphins leapt from the water and splashed down in the moonlight, providing a welcoming committee. The dog loved Mother Ocean, dolphins, and especially whales. Jake shared his enthusiasm. It was whale watching season in Baja, and there were high odds they'd see humpbacks, gray whales, and perhaps even some blue whales on this cruise. As he counted at least a dozen dolphins, he felt the urge to dive into the sea and swim with the carefree sea mammals. On a previous visit, he'd seen a massive pod of several hundred dolphins, a rare sight he would never forget. He'd also heard about superpods of more than 1,000 dolphins and hoped one day to see that spectacle. As he cruised into the Gulf, he suddenly felt a premonition of violent danger waiting for him in the Sea of Cortez. He'd learned from painful experience to trust his so-called sixth sense. Reaching out to his dashboard, he turned on the fish finder and an underwater camera so he could gaze beneath the surface in 2 different ways. Not finding any narco submarines, he opened a locker and withdrew a sniper rifle with a high-powered scope. Whatever danger might be waiting for him up ahead, he'd handle it the way the Marine Corps' infantry grunts were trained to do, by shooting the enemy.